Hi guys! Today we are going to be doing my November wrap-up. This month I read 25 books and I DNF'd one. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So first book was actually my DNF, and that was Paradise Lost. I have read some of this. I'm not sure if I read it all. That's why I was going to read it, because I didn't know if I'd read it all in college. But our local college had a library book sale, and I found this and I was like, oh hey, Paradise Lost, cool. I remember reading this, or at least parts of it. Like I said, I'm not confident I read it all, but I don't know, I wasn't enjoying it. And then it got to like a part with Adam and Eve, and I was like, well, if I'm not enjoying it already, we'll just go ahead and call it quits. So I may come back to this someday, but for right now I DNF'd. The next book I read was Treachery and Truth. This is an ebook that I've had forever but never read. It's about King Wenceslas. That's not actually his name in the book, but it's from the song Good King Wenceslas looked down on the feast of Stephen, that Christmas song. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite thing or anything. It was like maybe a 3.5 star. It was fine. Not very long, which was also nice. And then after that, the next book that I read was Education, Does God Have an Opinion? A biblical apologetic for Christian education and homeschooling. I already was planning to homeschool my kids, so this really didn't change my mind on that or anything. But my mom got this for me, or she wound up having it somehow. She was like, here, do you want it? And I was like, sure. So I read it. I did disagree with like 2 points that he had or something, but overall it was fine. 3 stars. If you're conflicted about how you're going to school your kids, then it would probably be more helpful. But as someone who was already settled on pretty much homeschooling, at least at the beginning, it was fine. It was fine. All right, next I read Glencoe, which is, it's a historical fiction about, set in Scotland during a war that they had with England. I'm not sure exactly the timing of it, but it was fine. They did have, it's a Christian book, and it's written by one of my favorite authors, so I've just had it forever and never gotten around to it. I did DNF it at one point, but that was like, I got it's ebook, but I got 3% in, and I was like, I'm not enjoying this, so I put it down, always intending to come back to it. It was fine. Not as good as her fantasy books are, definitely. For some reason there was also a word in it I don't understand, like a word that I would not say. I don't understand why that was in there, why she put that in there, but anyway, it was there. Not pleased by that, but I would, again, 3.5 maybe. It was fine. All right, next I read all 7 Chronicles of Narnia. So those are my next 7. I'm not going to go too much into this. They're all 5 stars. You probably know what Narnia is about. And let's see, I think the cards are this way, maybe? I attempted, at least, well, I don't want to spoil the ending, but I did attempt to read all of them in one day this month, so I think that's up there that I can link that. And I've already ranked these books as well in another video, which I can also link. Again, it'd be very funny if I'm just pointing the wrong way, but I think this way. So yeah, I'll link both of those videos so you can see my thoughts further, but I don't want to go too much into this because I've already done 2 videos. But yes, Chronicles of Narnia, all 7 are 5 stars. The next books that I read were the Barenfell Prophecies trilogy by Wayne Thomas Batson. This is one of my favorite Christian fantasy books of all time. It's so good. The plot is the basic plot of the whole series is these 7 kids find out that they are not just normal kids, that they're actually elf lords from another world, and they have these gifts, and they were kidnapped and taken away from their world, and now they have to go and save their world because it is in trouble. These are so good. I love these. They're all 5 stars. Just, yeah, very creative. I love all the characters. I love the just the world of I love just the world of Barenfell. It's so great. Yeah, 5 stars, definitely. All right, next I read the Wingfeather Saga, all 4 books. So On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness, North or Be Eaten, The Monster in the Hollows, and The Warden and the Wolf King. Also 5 stars. Love these. These are also a reread. Most of this month was actually rereads. So yes, but this book, this series is so good. I really love how it kind of starts out. I compare it to Lord of the Rings, where Lord of the Rings, you know, the first few chapters are in the Shire, and it starts out really happy and whimsical, and then it gets dark-ish pretty quick. I mean, Lord of the Rings is not dark, but, you know, it gets darker pretty quick. This one, the whole first book is pretty much the whimsy, and then we hit the darkness book 2, but, man, it's so good. And if you haven't seen the TV show, also, I highly recommend that. It's really good. The other thing that I really love about this series, by the way, is that, the whimsy that it starts out with, some of it, like, that's very much a joke at the beginning, and I don't want to say anything because of spoilers. So if you haven't read further than book 1, I can't tell you what I'm talking about. If you have, you probably know what I mean when I say some of the things that are played very much for laughs at the beginning, like you read it and you're like, this is ridiculous and I love this. Yeah, at the end, all of a sudden it makes sense, and it actually, like, is part of an intricate part of the plot. And again, I don't want to tell you what it was, but man, it really hit me this time how impressed I was by that. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you don't, I don't want to tell you. You need to read the whole series, and then I will tell you. But yeah, so that's something I really do love about this series. Yeah, love the series, love the TV show. Yeah, there's not much I can say otherwise. I just really big fan of Wingfeather. If you've only read book 1, highly recommend going on and reading the rest of the series too. All right, next I read, actually I'm going to skip around a little because I took a break in between this next series to read another book. So I'll go ahead and talk about that other book, and then I'll talk about this series. So next I read By Loyalty Torn, also by Sean Lamb. Another historical fiction by her. Again, this one was fun. Her first historical fiction book was my favorite of all of hers. The Huguenot Sword. It's so good. Or Huguenot, I guess, because it's French. That's so good. This one was okay. Again, this one is about the English Civil War, the, you know, Parliament and the King fighting each other and all that. Yeah, I would give this one probably 3.5 stars. Again, there was a word used that I don't say. It wasn't the worst word ever, but I'm still very confused by that. I think it was 3 times. But also I know it's British people in the story, and British people have different sensibilities about those things, which is why I didn't even mention it with Narnia. There are a few words in Narnia that I would not be saying, but for some reason British people don't think they're curse words, and we in America do. So yeah. So anyway, I'd give that probably another 3.5. It was fine. Yeah. Next, I read, The Door Within. I read Door Within before I read By Loyalty Torn, but anyway, I wanted to talk about these together. So I read The Door Within, The Rise of the Wormlord, and The Final Storm, and also The Blackwood, which is an extra novella thing in the same world. These are really good. Also by Wayne Thomas Batson. I love his stuff. His fantasy, at least his Christian fantasy. Really good. This is about a kid who discovers these scrolls, and basically through a series of events gets transported into another world. The other world is populated by glimpses. Every person has a glimpse. And when you go into that other world, your glimpse comes to this world. I hope that makes sense. It makes more sense in the books. The books actually explain that probably better than I just did. But, let's see. Yeah, this series is really good. Also 5 stars. Again, a reread. Yeah. Man, the ending of this series is so not expected. Like, you're not going to expect the ending. I can almost guarantee you are not going to expect the ending of the full series. You might expect the ending of book 1. Even in the ending of book 1, there's some stuff that you will not expect. But yeah, this is really good. I really like this. And then the final books that I read this month were Dream Treaders, Search for the Shadow Key, and War for the Waking World, as you can see, also by Wayne Thomas Batson. His books were easy to find. I have a lot of books in storage right now. His books were actually really easy to find. I discovered them and I'm like, ooh, I can reread these because I ran out of new books. So, rereads. Finally, I've been craving some rereads anyway of some of these, so getting to reread them was really exciting. Yeah, Dream Treaders is about this kid named Archer. He is a dream treader, which means dreaming, like in this series, takes place in like an alternate dimension kind of thing. That's about the best way to describe it, I guess. Like there's an actual world of where your dreams take place. And Archer is the main character, and he like lives in normal modern day, like normal modern day kid. But he is a dream treader, which means his job is to go in and basically like protect the dream world and his job is to go in and protect the dream world, make sure that like there are little breaches that happen in the dream world, and so his job is to patch the breaches and then figure out, like, you know, or basically patch the breaches and keep the dream world from leaking into the real world, because that's bad when that happens. And yeah, it's a really fun series. Not my normal kind of fantasy. Normally the fantasy that I read takes place in another world, so these obviously taking place in our world, but just like with this alternate dimension. I don't know if that makes them urban fantasy or not, but anyway, whatever this book series is, I like it, but it's not like the only thing of its kind that I've ever read, so that's kind of interesting. Also, I want to say with this series, the twist that happens in the last like 10 pages makes these books crazy. Like, you read that and you're like, hang on, what? And you're kind of like, at that point you also want to say, okay, I think I need to reread all of these because of this twist, how much this changes everything. I remembered the twist, and so I was able to see it coming further back. But yeah, really love Dream Treaders, also 5 stars. And that's all that I've read this month. Lots of rereads because I finally, like I said, I finally finished my stack of books that I haven't read, which means I give myself permission to reread. I'm weird. I don't like rereading if I have more books that are, if I have books that are not read, I don't like rereading. I'm like, well, it's not that I don't like rereading, it's just that I'm like, I want to wait until I don't have any more. I know that's weird. That's not a thing a lot of people do. So those are the books I read this month. Lots of 5 stars because there was lots of rereads. And obviously if I'm rereading them, it's because I love them, so yeah. Let me know if you've read any of these, and let me know what your favorite reads from the month of November were. Mine were Narnia, as you may have been able to tell by the 2 videos that I've already done about Narnia this month, so yeah. So please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!